Good morning, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and I want to talk about Christian discipline in this video shortly. Christian discipline, what do I mean? Christian families, many times, they follow the rhetoric, the advice of their church and their circles, their Christian circles, where children are pretty rigorously disciplined. They are denied certain freedoms. They are punished on occasion when it is deemed necessary, and unfortunately, this discipline, when misguided or without the logic and reason and an actual call for it, can do way more harm than good. For example, also in the same Christian community, many times, unfortunately, there's some element of abuse going on, but they don't necessarily look at it that way. Abuse in the sense of an erosion of boundaries that are natural and found elsewhere, even outside of Christian communities, where, for example, parents or siblings will not be romantic with their relatives, where incest starts to happen, and unfortunately they tend to allow it while also doing these disciplinary things at the same time. It becomes this big mess, and it really screws people up. They start to look at everybody as some conflation of authority and spouse at the same time, and it's very sad. It's very sad, and it defeats the purpose. My point here is that it defeats the entire purpose of being disciplined, of being Christian, and the values are completely undermined when the reasons behind them, the actual logic of it, fails to be communicated, or if there's just no call for these things whatsoever, and they happen anyway, just out of ritual. Because also, of course, in these communities, you see the presence of deep ritual where people just repeat things over and over, and you end up with your weekly or monthly beatings just for safe measure. And I wish I was exaggerating, but they do this just to obtain obedience and control of the kids, of the spouse sometimes, and it's very bad. It's very bad because while being obedient to a moral authority could be a good thing, and sometimes it is, if the moral authority is actually a moral authority, it's not always a good thing, especially when the quote-unquote moral authority is a drunk idiot. Okay? If the person is also having sex with their kids or being physically intimate with their kids, if they are disciplining them in a half-assed way without some kind of follow-up, without some kind of supervision or adhesion to values, real, actual, productive values, such as enforcing boundaries between siblings, enforcing some kind of climate of happiness and productivity, then it just becomes nasty and terrible, and it's beatings for no reason that tear people down. It confuses people, and it becomes pointless and destructive. It actually becomes counterproductive, and it does way more harm than good. And unfortunately, it's a big subject. Why are people in mass numbers exiting the Christian faith? Because they are, and they have been for a long time. It's because of stuff like this. It's because the messages have been so badly mutilated that people are on autopilot. They don't know what to do anymore, and it has become about sex and about being physically in contact with kids, and none of this is part of the core Christian values. None of it is. Christian values, to review, as I understand them, are about the golden rule. A lot of it circles back to do unto others as you would have them do unto you, treating people how you want to be treated, being fair, being compassionate, being patient, doing good works, giving, the spirit of giving, goodwill unto your neighbors and fellow man. And nowhere in any of these core values that I just listed does it mention being physically intimate with your relatives. Nowhere in these core values does it mention eroding boundaries by way of systematic beatings and abuse, both sexual and corporeal. Okay, nowhere in Christian values is that called for or required, and The only time you should ever pull a paddle out is after there has been a very serious problem. And if you find yourself, this is a connected subject, if you find yourself pulling that paddle out more than 2 or 3 times in the entire time your child is living under your roof, you are failing as a Christian parent. That paddle is not to be pulled out willy-nilly. It's not supposed to be for safe measure. It's not supposed to be so that you can create a miniature version of yourself who you can live vicariously through. That's not what that paddle is for, bro. Or else you're going to find my paddle on your backside. You're going to find my paddle here in a minute. So, yeah, I'm being serious, actually. So, yeah, no, quit beating your kids. Quit fucking your kids. Quit raping your kids, and get between your daughter and your son, because that's not supposed to be happening either. That's not in the Bible, and if it is, you misread it. Somebody misinterpreted it. I'm quite sure. Take it seriously. It's very serious. Serious as a heart attack. Reach out with questions or comments down below. Thank you.